And I'm just curious, how many folks in the room would like to pay an extra $1 a gallon for home heating fuel this winter? One hand goes up in the back, and I think there's a little irony to it.
That's Ethan Allen raising his hand.
So, so how many of you all drove here today? All the hands go up. And how many of you would like to spend an extra $1, 40 cents, 90 cents per gallon of gasoline to get around Vermont? Nobody does. But that is what is at stake with the carbon tax. It's a regressive tax. It's something that's going to hit the poor and the people in rural areas a whole lot more than it will hit the wealthy and people living in urban areas. It's a bad idea, period. But it is a particularly bad idea for a state like Vermont, where we are rural, we have an affordability crisis going on, and but despite that, it seems to come back every year. This has been going on. I've been fighting this fight since 2013 when the carbon tax first raised its head in Tony Klein's committee. He's gone, but the tax is still back. Why is it? It's a bad idea. Vermonters have shown they don't want it. There have been elections that have been fought over this between Phil Scott and Sue Minter. This was a primary issue in that campaign, and Scott won overwhelmingly. But it still keeps coming back. Why? Well, I'll give you one reason. And there are two employees of the company Sun Common, which, if you know Sun Common, that is the for-profit VPIRG spinoff that makes money putting solar panels on people's houses and things like that. They have two employees who are now representatives in the House here in Vermont, plus the wife of the president of that company. Think about that. Sun Common and VPIRG now have more representation in the House of Representatives in Vermont than any district in the state.
Can you name those three people, please?
I can name those three people. It's Mike McCarthy from St. Albans, Becca White from Hartford, and the wife of the president of Sun Commons is Carrie Dolan, who's the new representative from Waitsfield.
Are the media representatives here going to report that fact?
But I want you to think about that for a second. More representation than any district in the state. They have more representation than the 22 towns in the Northeast Kingdom represented by Paul LaFave and Connie Quimby combined. Is this what democracy looks like?
No.
No, it is not. This is a corrupt stew of bad politics and bad policy. It has nothing to do with climate change. It is about crony socialism and funneling money into this is why these issues keep getting pulled up. Do you think that when it comes time to vote on a carbon tax, those representatives are going to be thinking of the best interests of their constituents at heart? Or are they going to be considering their own paychecks and their employers' interests when they come to vote? Proponents of the carbon tax will say, no, this isn't about that. This is really about climate change. But it's not. It's not about climate change at all, because this policy won't have any impact whatsoever on future climate trends. And here, like JT, I'm going to call out the press just a little bit on this one, because as I said, I've been covering this for 5 years, since 2013, and I have yet to hear the press ask the simple question of the proponents of this: what impact will it have on future climate trends? They make the case all the time. They'll start, can you imagine a Vermont without snow? Can you imagine Vermont without our fall colors or maple syrup? Or millions of dollars it's costing us when these severe weather events like Tropical Storm Irene come in. So we have to pass a carbon tax. But how do you get from one to the other? You got to ask the question, what do we get for passing this carbon tax? Is it going to have any impact on whether the ski industry stays vital through the next century or not? The science says, you can wholeheartedly believe in global warming, climate change, and man's role in climate change, and still understand that the science behind this as a proposed solution does not add up. It's not there. This will have no impact. It's not about saving the climate. I've given my challenge to the media. I want to give a challenge to our legislators. This has been going on for 5 years, this debate. Let's put it to a vote. They have never brought it to the floor for a vote. As I said, there have been elections that have been held over this. It's been a campaign. A lot of people campaigned on it this time, although I didn't see a whole lot of people out there saying, elect me and I'll pass a carbon tax when I get there in January. But let's have a vote on it. If this is a great idea, as its proponents say, if this is going to be a boon to our economy, if it's going to save the ski industry and the maple industry and fall colors for future generations, vote yes. You will be a hero. Prove us all wrong. But if you think that this is a job killer, an economy killer, that is going to raise the cost of doing business in the state, of owning a home in the state, trying to get to work to state, bringing your kids to school in Vermont, making us a less affordable, less attractive, less competitive place to live, work, and play, then I would say vote no. In fact, I would say vote hell no. But let's be done with it. Let's have the vote and let's put an end. Because I think both sides deserve closure. There are a lot of people who feel very passionate about this issue and want to see it passed. They deserve to have a vote. They're the folks of us in this room here who want to see it go away. And we deserve a vote. Everybody deserves a vote. So stop hiding behind studies and this and that. You've been debating it for 5 years. Let's have a vote and let's put an end to it. And I think that it will go down if they bring it to a vote, because I think that they know in their heart of hearts that this is the carbon tax is a bad policy for Vermont. And whether you call it a carbon tax or carbon pricing or a carbon dividend or cap and trade or some other clever name, it's nothing but a stew of bad policy and corrupt politics. So we say no, and I hope they will say no, and I hope they'll do it this year. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ron.